I'm Carmen and welcome to Operation Food Search. I'm outside at our garden for today's quick tip video. I'm going to collect some tomatoes for Claire and then we'll join her in the Bayer Healthy Community Kitchen to see a marinated tomato salad.
Hi everyone! So if your garden at home is anything like our garden at Operation Food Search, you might find yourself with an overabundance of fresh produce. Like our garden here, we have a lot of fresh tomatoes. With it being so hot in St. Louis, our growing and ripening season for tomatoes has been amazing and we're not mad about it. But if you're a small family at home, you might find yourself a little overwhelmed with the amount of fresh produce that you have. So I'm going to show you some quick ways and easy tips that you can use your fresh tomatoes at home. Some of my favorite ways to use them are actually just to roast tomatoes. So I line them on a baking sheet and roast them at 375 or 400 degrees for 30 to 40 minutes until they start to blister or even kind of caramelize. That's going to bring out some natural sweetness in those tomatoes, and you can use them to make your own marinara sauce or even start a soup. Some other ways I like to use them, I might chop them up for a fresh salsa or maybe even freeze them. So one of our favorite tips here at Operation Food Search is freezing any fresh produce that you have so that you can use them in winter seasons. For our cherry tomatoes, I might line them up on a baking sheet and then put them into the freezer so they can freeze individually. Once they've all frozen solid completely, you can put them into a Ziploc bag or even into a freezer-safe container. The recipe I'm going to show you today is for a marinated cherry tomato salad, and it's super easy to make at home. So to get started, we're going to make the dressing for it. So in this bowl, I'm going to add 1/4 cup of olive oil or any neutral flavored oil that you have. And then we're going to add in 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You could use any other vinegar that you like. And we're going to add that in. And what we're going to do is create an emulsion. And what an emulsion is simply just bringing 2 ingredients together that wouldn't normally combine, like oil and vinegar. I'm going to add in a little Dijon mustard as well. That's going to help with that emulsion process. And we're going to whisk this up. We're going to add in 2 garlic cloves. You could use garlic powder if you have that as well. And then we're going to add in 1/4 teaspoon of salt and pepper each. And that came together really easily. For our herbs, you can use any fresh herbs that you have. I'm going to be using basil and a thyme. So the easiest thing to remove thyme leaves from the actual stem is to just slide your finger down the stem in the opposite direction in which they are growing. And that is the easiest way to get them off without having to kind of mess with this stem. So we're going to use about 2 tablespoons, a tablespoon of fresh thyme. And if you wanted to use dry, what I would recommend is just using about half the amount of fresh that it calls for. So we're going to add that in. And then for our basil, we're going to use about 1/4 cup of chopped basil. And the easiest way to do this is we're going to do a technique called chiffonade, where we're going to stack our basil leaves one on top of the other. And we're going to roll them up into almost like a cigar or a barrel shape. And then you can use your knife to carefully create ribbons. This is a really great way to prevent bruising of very delicate herbs like basil. We're going to add that in and then give that a quick little mix. And then what I have is I've halved 2.5 pints of fresh cherry tomatoes that Carmen picked from our garden. And we're just going to toss those in. And I like leaving some of them whole just for kind of a fun textural variation. And we're just going to stir this up. This is such an easy recipe that you could do. You could add in some fresh diced cucumbers or even some feta cheese. And what we're going to do now is we're actually just going to let this sit in our refrigerator for 2 to 4 hours. We're going to cover it and put it in the fridge. And I'll see you back here once they're marinated. All right, so our cherry tomatoes have been marinating for about 2 hours, and I'm gonna serve them on top of a bed of spinach with some mozzarella pearls. You could even add some fresh avocado for a full meal. We're just gonna scoop these on. It'd be a very delicious side dish, or even pair deliciously with some grilled chicken or pork or fish as well for a delicious summer meal. We hope you like this recipe, and give us a like and a quick tip down below of what maybe you like to use fresh tomatoes with. Thanks.